Hello everyone, I'm Alexander Bush, the Architect, and welcome to today's episode of The Awakening, a retrospective Persona 5 and Persona 5 the Animation. I am your host, Alexander M. Bush, and join me is the one and only JBM, aka Parkscope Joe. How you doing, man?
So we have these infestations of those little gnats, those little tsetse fly kind of things.
Oh god, don't remind me.
The fruit flies.
Yeah.
So we had them a bunch at work, and I think I brought some home, so I'm buying traps and, flushing drains and shit. But, that's why I just clapped in front of the microphones, because I killed one of those little bastards. So...
No worries. I've seen some of those little freaks of nature around my house, too.
Yeah, I hate them so much.
It ain't just Philly weather, but it's desert weather. So, yes, welcome to episode 4, and we are going to just start right away with our discussion on episode 7. He is my other self. And this is where we really get going with the Madarame arc and have the awakening of Yusuke alongside of Anne and her thousands of clothing materials and a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to let you start. What did you think of the episode?
I'm always a fan of Awakenings. I have always thought they were some of the coolest aspects of the Persona games. So that's definitely my favorite, is definitely the Awakening. Whether it be, and it's something that actually Persona 3 was lacking, believe it or not, was that they just didn't have that aspect to it. That really came from Persona 4, of trying to confront your true self, I won't spoil Persona 4, but the Awakenings with Persona 5 I think are awesome, and I think and Yosuke's was always good, but I think they improved it in the anime, and they're way more deliberate with why Madarame is a piece of shit.
Oh yeah, very deliberate.
So it's very good that it's improved, and that's definitely my favorite part of the episode. I mean, always has been, always will be.
Yeah, I would say episode 7 really does a lot better when it comes to the palace and just trying to improve on what the game itself sometimes lacked, and especially considering how bad the Kamoshida arc for the anime was. This we really got to see a lot more of the palace in a better way than previously. I would say my least favorite aspect is just, ironically enough, just how fast they went when it came to the Sayori Gallery. I wish there was a bit more on that.
How do you mean the Sayori Gallery? As in when they break into the storage room?
That's what I call it, the Sayori Gallery.
Yeah, or the Sayori the Sayori deposit, the Sayori vending machine, the Sayori
bank.
The bank. Yes, I think a bank's a good word. Yeah, it's because what it is so for Kamoshida, and one of the reasons why I love Kamoshida, and by love, you know what I mean by love, is that it's a mass. It's he is sexually abusing and physically abusing students, bar none. Period. The game says that pretty directly or indirectly. The anime comes straight out and says it, to the point where I remember hearing some people saying oh well, maybe he's just giving him too much homework. It's no. So so what I like, and then the problem was with Madarame, they kind of got wishy-washy with it in the game, where it felt where it was a lot of Yosuke, but Madarame helped, and that kind of thing. But there's still the aspect of, well, Madarame took this kid in and improved his life. I mean, you could argue, but
improved is a strong term.
Yeah, exactly. But in the anime, they really lay it out that that this is a facade, that while he could have these feelings, and reversely Yusuke could have positive feelings towards Madarame, the fact is that he is actually trapping this poor kid into this basic indentured servitude, as his outward persona is a, humble, philanthropic artist, but actually is a playboy who loves, loves the glitz and the glamour and the fame more than anything, and doesn't really have any artistic talent.
Yeah, and I just wish they kind of... It's odd, because I really am trying to just, like, say it in the best way I can, but it's like, if there was one thing I'd like to see that I wish was in, it was just more of seeing how Madarame used Yusuke for that long period of time, because, well, it does do that in a way for the anime. It's just, I wish there was more, the show.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And also with the former partners as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a very good episode. It does a lot that... It does what it needs to, and it gets us set up for the finale, which we will go into for the Madarame arc. And that is episode 8. And that is... put an end to all of this and use your own artwork for once, from Toshiki Fukushima.
Yeah, I really like their they're very subtle and concise episode titles. It's great to see Japan's continuing their long-standing fascination with the English language.
yeah, much like OMW, but we'll get to the next episode. But
yeah,
I am actually going to go into the game first, because I want to talk about that fight.
Okay. With Madarame?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
Okay.
I think that it felt a bit gimmicky. Like, a little too gimmicky, if that makes sense. To where it was just like a game of pause and wait. And I wish there was more of an opportunity for choice in that fight, as opposed to... oh, you have to wait for phases, and then Yusuke will just paint through, and they'll just give you easy opening.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of that fight, really, either, but I kind of understand where they're coming... Like, the idea is that, so thematically speaking, I think the concept behind the fight is that, that there's a facade that he has, and you're basically trying to ruin it, quite literally, with the paint and the things that he's trying to use. But also in another way, the fight also comes down to this is like, so every single palace has like concepts behind it. So I think this is the fight where they really try to lean into status ailments. So like you're looking at some basic stuff in the Kamoshida fight, but Madarame, they're trying to start leaning into, okay, well, you have you have to choose your party, you have to look at status ailments, and you have to start focusing on that, because like every single palace like introduced another gameplay mechanic in terms of fighting. Like whether it be a new element type that's resistance and that kind of thing, or it's new ailments
or curses.
Like I was about to say, like in
we'll get to that.
Yeah, and things like that, or it's things of that nature. So like I could see what they were doing, but it's not my favorite fight. I like other fights way more.
Yeah. I would say even like the lesser bosses when it came to this palace was a lot better than Madarame himself, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I said yeah. So
I was like, I heard you like just cut out for a second. I was like, wait, what? Not again.
Oh, weird. Yeah, weird. No, I'm good. I'm here.
No worries. I was like just worried. But yeah, that is my main problem with the game, in this aspect, and in some extent, this also is translated to episode 8, where it still feels weak, but I do love what happens before in the conversations in both the game and the anime. Because it shows very clearly more of just how much of a prick Monorama is.
That guy's a real dick.
Yep. And we finally got the full Phantom Thieves logo, too.
I always liked how they kind of do that, where they kind of, they're like, oh, well, we actually have an artist now. We don't have to half-ass this.
Somewhere out here, someone would be pissed.
Yeah.
I would agree to where it's nice to see that come to play alongside just like showing a bit more to just how things worked. Let me ask you, when you completed the palace, how many days did you have left for when the change of heart was commencing?
So I usually try to do it as soon as possible, barring any important social links confidants that occur at that time. So my first playthrough, I probably had a little bit of time. I think it took a few days to get through the palace on my first playthrough. My second playthrough, I wanted story and only story. That's all I wanted. So I basically put it on the super duper easy mode, and I just blast through palaces in a day. So, it takes me a few days to get through palaces, but I always try to get them done as soon as possible because I don't like bumping up into that limit. And also, I know that I want to maximize my time for social links.
Yeah, I think I actually got about to, the 10-day mark before it all, before I finished. Which, I got a lot better when it came to Kaneshiro, and I was able to do a lot in the meantime during that, thankfully because of some social links and all that. But, I would argue that, when it came to just the time, I was I just wanted to make sure I didn't screw up.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to put it is that if you, I forget where it's at, but there's a certain, there's a way the game tells you that you're halfway through a palace. Usually it's when you a certain save points, or you talk to your party members. I think Morgana. In the break room, Morgana kind of like, hey, we're halfway through. It feels like we're halfway through, or something like that.
And then, Ryuji or Anne talk alongside.
Yeah, so that's always a good indicator of where you're at in the palace. So that's kind of something that I base my gameplay on. But otherwise, I just kind of power through palaces when I get the chance.
Yeah, because right now I'm at, Futaba, and I'll explain more. But it was I had to burn 3 days just because of a stupid issue that I hate myself over now. But
we'll get to it? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Call it planting the seeds. But yeah, my thoughts on the Madarame arc for the game, that's pretty much where it is now. And my thoughts on Madarame arc for the game, I love the artistic design, and I love when, after you got the treasure before the fight, and you were on the roof and running away. It was really cool seeing that palace from that type of an angle.
Yeah. I also like the this one actually feels like a heist. That's what I like too. It feels like you're thieves, while some of the other games can just feel like not, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Some of them like when you get to Futaba's palace, which I love Futaba's palace. It's a great story. It's incredibly emotional. It's very, very important, but it doesn't feel like a heist.
Yeah, it really doesn't right now. And even though I'm the quarter mark of the palace, it really does not feel like a heist, unlike Kaneshiro and Madarame, where
even Kaneshiro feels less like a heist.
Yeah,
there's just something about stealing artwork that is just so stupidly over the top that it's like, of course it's a heist movie. They're stealing artwork. Who would, like, what? So, like, that's kind of what I like on that one. But then there's few other palaces later on that even make less sense in terms of a heist. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I'll probably have to deal with it. But our final thoughts on the Madarame arc for the anime. I'll start first.
Okay.
It is, without a doubt, a huge improvement over the advent of the game. And I'm glad that they were able to top this compared to Kanshiro, like Kanshida in the game, like anime version. Because it just works a lot more for animation when it came to a lot more things. Especially when, even though it's still a problem, it's not as much in this one because it felt a lot better for the fights.
Yeah, and I guess that's another good thing is, like, there's not many fights in this episode because I think they know that's their weakness. And
they tried their best this time around, and it was a lot better than previously too.
Yeah, so I feel like they're adapting the gameplay a lot better than, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, yeah, it's a very huge improvement over the game and over the Kamoshida arc for the anime. You?
I like the Kamoshida arc way better. Again, way better in the game. And as I said before, Madarame is definitely the A+ in the anime itself. I think that they really land home the themes more. They really land home, you know, the feelings of Yosuke's, Yosuke's in Persona 4. Yusuke's, like, own, I'm trying to figure out the words for this, like, his own feelings about his mother that he never knew, and the complicated feelings he has with Madarame. I think those are handled way better in the anime. So that's why I actually like this a lot better than in the game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And before we wrap up, I'm going to leave this to you because the next episode is a filler episode.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Operation Maidwatch?
I think we should talk about it, but we should also talk about it in a larger context of the game versus the anime, especially when it comes down to things like fan service, which is what this episode exactly is, because I think there's a larger discussion that needs to be had about fan service when it comes to Japanese media and what that means versus the U.S. media, and it does definitely play into Persona 5 because there's a certain amount of, you know, male gaze in Persona 5 that, and the Persona series in general, that's never really accounted for because it's a Japanese game that just so happens to be popular in the West. So I think that's something we should definitely talk about, and also we could cover more about the game in general. I think that episode too.
All right, then we will save it for a later time after we finish up the anime itself, because we're probably gonna have to go through a few episodes about just like the mechanics of the game and all that.
Yeah, I mean, or yeah, whatever you feel like you want to do.
Yep. So that being said, then we are going to put Operation Maidwatch at another time, and we're just going to leave today's episode, leaving you on a cliffhanger. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. It's a blast to have you guys on, like, watching us talk about our love for Persona 5 the animation whenever we can. I am the Architect. You find me on Twitter at Alexander M. Bush. Joe, where can we find you?
You can find me at Parkscope Joe on the Twitter.
Alrighty, and you can find anything for Time Split News on Twitter at _timesplit_, and please continue supporting the Game Bay. We love you guys, and we are so happy we can continue on with the show. We'll be back soon. We love you guys. Take care. Bye.
Cool.